Hey there, my name is Leonie and welcome to another video. If you follow me on Twitter, you may know that soon I am going to move out of the house because I'm going to live near my university. I've been going to university for 2 years now, but before my 3rd year I wanted to live close by to my university in the city itself. So I found a student apartment and I'm going to move there, and obviously I'm gonna take some books with me because I just like having my books around. So today I thought I would show you all the books that I'm taking with me. So in total I have 47 books because I do have quite some shelf space in my apartment house dorm room thing. So I thought, you know what, I can just take some books with me. So I ended up choosing over half of all the books that I own. And the logic behind it is that I wanted to take all of my TBR books. Then I also want to take with me all the books in series that I am currently in the midst of reading that I have not yet finished. And then third, I also want to reserve a separate special shelf for all of my favorite books and books that I just generally want to be able to recommend to people. So let's start with my entire TBR, which consists of 21 books. I'm not going to talk too much about them because then this video will take forever. So let's just quickly get into them. First book of my TBR is An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. It's a very popular book, you might love it, so I really wanted to try this. I'm also taking with me Hex by Thomas Oldeheuvel. I want to read this around Halloween time because this is a horror book. Then I have Hans Christian Andersen's fairy tales. I have already read a few of his fairy tales, but I still haven't finished it, and I really need to kind of get myself to just read them because they're very short and they're very easy to read in just one evening. So I definitely want to take this with me so I can kind of motivate myself to just finish all of his fairy tales. Then I also haven't finished A Court of Mist and Fury. I actually started reading this last year when it came out, but I still haven't finished it, and I know the 3rd book is already out. And then I also still have to read Crooked Kingdom by Lee Bardugo, which pains me because I just love this series and I really should have already read it, but I haven't. So I'm taking it with me. Then I have Animal Farm by George Orwell, which is a very small book that I also still have to read. The 105th edition of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass. I've already read Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, but I still have to read Through the Looking Glass. All the Birds in the Sky by Charlie Jane Anders. This is one of those books that I bought because it sounded really cool and I wanted to read it, but then I didn't read it immediately when I bought it, and as a result of that, it has just stayed on the shelf unread for about 2 years, so I really need to start this. Then another sequel that just pains me that I still haven't read it, and that is The Rose and the Dagger by Renee Ajay, the last book in the Wrath and the Dawn duology. Gotta get to it. Then 2 more sequels are Fairest and Winter by Marissa Meyer. I love the Lunar Chronicles, but I still haven't read these books. Then I have A World Without You by Beth Revis, which is a book that I got in a bookish subscription box. Then I also still have to read The Diviners by Libba Bray. I actually started it but couldn't really get into it, but I'm sure that I will like it when the moment is right. I'm very excited for this one and also taking it with me. And the last book on my TBR is Riders by Veronica Rossi. I've actually heard pretty bad things about this book. I haven't heard anyone liking it, so I'm not really psyched to get to this, but it's on my TBR, so I'm taking it with me. If you enjoyed this book, let me know, because then maybe I'll get a little more motivated to pick this up someday. And those were all the books on my TBR that I'm taking with me. So now I'm just gonna quickly show you all the books that I'm taking with me that are part of series that I have not yet finished. First one is Monstrous by Marjorie Liu and Sana Takeda. This is a graphic novel that I recently read, and I really want to continue this series, so I'm taking the first one with me. This Savage Song by V. Schwab, 2nd book comes out very soon. The Dark Days Club by Alison Goodman. Also really enjoyed this book, gotta continue that series. Alice by Christina Henry, which is the 1st book in a horror duology that I also want to continue. A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas, which I'm taking with me because if I finish A Court of Mist and Fury, then I can put it next to this copy. That's kind of the reasoning behind why I'm taking these books with me. Then I have A Darker Shade of Magic and A Gathering of Shadows by V. Schwab, which is a series that I love, and when I finally get to the third book in the series, A Conjuring of Light. I can put it next to these. Then I'm taking the rest of the Lunar Chronicles, consisting of Cinder, Scarlet, and Cress. I'm also taking The Kiss of Deception by Mary E. Pearson. I don't own the sequels to this series yet, but I do want to continue it someday because I did really like this book. The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee Ajay. I really love this book, and you just saw that the sequel to this is on my TBR. And then I have The Bone Season by Samantha I'm on a roll with these author names today. Samantha Shannon. I started this series 3 years ago and I still don't even own the second book in the series, but I really like this book, so I gotta get to it. Man, I feel like I say that way too often in this video, but I really gotta get to it. And lastly, I'm taking with me Red Queen and Glass Sword, because this is also a series that I enjoy and I have to continue it. Gotta get to it. Oh, and I just realized that I almost forgot this part of my TBR, but I'm also taking with me the Harry Potter box set. I have already read Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, but I still haven't read the rest. So obviously I'm taking this one with me as well, so I can finally read this series that everyone has been telling me to read since forever. And lastly, I want to show you the books that I'm taking with me because they are simply some of my favorite books that I just want to have close to me so I can recommend them to people when people are around, or so I can just look into them and read some of my favorite scenes again. Let me show you what those books are. First book, I don't know if this is considered a favorite, but it is Adulthood is a Myth by Sarah Scribbles. I just want to take this with me because I feel like this is a book that's fun to show people. You know, you can just lay it on the table and then people can look at it and laugh because hahaha, funny comics. So the first book for my favorite shelf will probably not be a surprise to you, and that is Vicious by V. Schwab. Do I even really have to say anything about this? Probably not, except for the fact that this is my all-time favorite book, and obviously I gotta take it with me. Then I'm also taking the Penguin and the End of Days series, consisting of Angel Fall, World After, and End of Days, because this just remains my first ever favorite series and I want to have it close to me. I'm also taking with me the Grisha trilogy by Leigh Bardugo because it holds such a special place in my heart, and it is the first ever fantasy series that I've ever read. Also, it's incredibly inspiring, and I actually quite often just look at it to just read parts and get inspired to write. Does anyone else do that? I'm also taking with me Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo because this is also one of my favorite books of all time. And the last book that I'm gonna put on my favorite recommended shelf is In Order to Live by Yummy Park. This is a non-fiction novel, but it's also a book that I would recommend to anyone. So I just want to have it so that when people come into my room and look through my books, I can just be like, read this book, it's so good. And those were all the books that I'm taking with me to college, university, apartment thing, moving out. I'm very curious to see how I'm even gonna manage to take these all with me because that's gonna be heavy. So that was it. Let me know which books you think I should really very quickly get to, or if you have any books that I really need to buy so I can fill up my shelves in my room, then all recommendations are welcome, and I will see you soon in another video. Goodbye!